Hello and welcome to Outlook on Air. This podcast is designed to keep you connected with all things Outlook, with special emphasis on our enrichment program and its many activities and services. On this podcast, we'll hear from Outlook associates, donors to our many programs, clients of our services, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition of Outlook on Air. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Outlook on Air here from the palatial podcast studio at Outlook Enrichment. Always a pleasure to be here. My name is Dennis Nelson, and we have a very busy and full podcast for you this time around, as we always try to do. And a lot of things we're going to be covering here, and some great guests, so please stick around if you possibly can. Let's start with some of those odds and ends that we always seem to have on the podcast. Try to work those in first before we actually move on to our actual guests. And one of those odds and ends would be the continuing Good Maps story. We're always searching for those good maps, and they have moved. As you know, they've changed their name to Indigo Maps, and now they have completely moved to the American Printing House for the Blind website. So if you go to www.aph.org/product/ Indigo, INDIGO / you will get to the actual Indigo Maps information on the American Printing House website. So if you have any inquiries about Good Maps, you now want to go to aph.org and at least start there. And if you put in all that other stuff I just said a little earlier, you'll go right to the Indigo page. But you can also do a search on their site for Indigo, and if you just go to aph.org, you can find out all about the American Printing House and the many services and things that they offer. It's quite a collection of things on the general website, but that's where you'll find Indigo Maps now. In fact, their info@goodmaps.com address that I gave you a month or two back is no longer working, so don't use that. Hard to keep up with them. I know this information keeps changing, but that seems to be the nature of things nowadays, and it's all being done with the American Printing House for the Blind. And I will say, if you go and check out that product / Indigo portion of their page, they even have a downloads area where you can download a nice audio tutorial as well as many written tutorials about Indigo Maps. So that is the final chapter on the Indigo Maps story. American Printing House for the Blind is officially taking them over now and taking over, obviously, all their marketing and other things that they're going to be doing. So hopefully that clears that up once and for all. Speaking of clearing things up, we try to do that with every podcast that we present you with. We like you to hear every podcast that we present you with, and for the most part, we do that, but we have noticed over the past several months, and this is the only reason I bring it up, I want you to be aware that we're aware that our microphones and our board here have been playing a little, what I call, impedance problem game with us here. We've had a microphone impedance problem, is what I'm trying to say. And it has been a bit of an issue where it will take a microphone and it never tells me which one it's going to do it with, but it'll drop the volume so low that even after we record an interview with someone live in the studio, can't always get the volume up to where it needs to be. The last time it happened to me where I was way off in the background and you had to crank your volume up to hear me, and we don't want that kind of thing. That's not what a podcast is about. So we did a bunch of diagnostic tests, a bunch of advanced testing with both the board and the microphones, and we hope that from this podcast forward, that kind of thing will not happen any longer. So we certainly hope that that is the case, and you'll be able to hear everything a whole lot better. And we've done a lot of testing to ensure that that happens. So we'll do everything in our power. We want you to hear all aspects of the podcast, even the parts where I screw up, to a certain degree. We try to eliminate those too, but just wanted to cover that briefly and let you know that we're on top of that one and hope that we can stop it in the future. We don't want that to happen. It always seems like we have something to tell you about Fred, and whether it's his website, AIJingleMaker.com, or something he's up to, that guy is an absolute genius, and this is too important not to tell you, especially if you have decided to start using any of his website things with the AIJingleMaker.com, because now Fred has developed a fully accessible app for both iPhone and Android platforms. So you can go to your favorite app store, whether it be the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and you can do a search for AI Jingle Maker, and sure enough, there's an app, and if you download and install it and log in, you can actually use it on your phone or your tablet or whatever you have that you want to use it on. And now these platforms are available. And as I say, the good news here for us is that both versions are totally accessible. And that is absolutely fantastic. I worked with Fred to a certain degree. He did the work, but I did provide him with some accessibility guidelines and things like that. And then, of course, he used his AI, and within 12 hours of my first writing him, because his first app was not very accessible, he had the whole thing completely accessible. It's just amazing. All the buttons read the way they're supposed to. Everything works as it should for those of us who are visually impaired. So fantastic work. And you can, I usually use it to just listen to new voices that have come out. I did make a couple of promos with it, and you can do that kind of thing, or you can get very serious and just use the app. So if you were waiting for an app to come out to use, you've got one thanks to Fred and his continued ingenuity. I will vacillate between the computer and the phone depending on what I want to do, but the phone can be handy sometimes for just getting ideas of what I'd like to actually use the computer to create. So it just depends on where you're at and what you want to do and that sort of thing. As I say, it's mostly useful for those who are already using AI Jingle Maker, but if you haven't and you were waiting for an iPhone or Android reason to do so, you've now got one. I did want to pass that tech tip along because it's pretty major and not everybody just comes up with an app out of nowhere. So leave it to Fred. The guy is absolutely amazing. And again, if you have questions about the app or other things of that sort, write to Fred. Fred at AIJingleMaker.com is how you get in touch with him. And of course, his website is AIJingleMaker.com. Always something going on there. I don't talk about everything by any stretch that he's doing. He's developed a couple of other websites. We've talked some about that. And he will continue to be just one of those really innovative types. We probably won't be talking about him too much more on here. I think I've done my fair share of advertising for him and so forth. But I did want to mention that he created these apps because otherwise you may not know about them. And the nice thing, again, is that they are totally accessible for those of us who need that. So that is the very latest on Fred, the AI Jingle Maker. Now, on June 3rd, as you've been hearing, a major event is going to happen involving Outlook Enrichment, and it is the Tee It Up for Sight Golf Tournament. And it's going to be taking place at Tiburon Golf Course, and we're looking forward to it on June the 3rd. In fact, we're going to be having a guest in here very shortly to talk about all the details of that. But here's what we're hoping the conditions are going to be like when we meet out on the course on Wednesday, June 3rd.
The sun is shining brightly and the sky is blue. So don't tell me you have nothing to do. We hope you can make the scene. Come join us out here on the green. It's our yearly fundraiser. Tee it up for Sight Golf Tournament.
Nina Rongisch is the Executive Director of Outlook Enrichment, and so there's no one better to get in here, not only to tell us about what enrichment is all about and what I mean when I talk about the Outlook Enrichment Department and things like that, but she's also going to talk about the Tee It Up for Sight Golf Tournament, which she is pretty much in charge of making happen. So without further ado, let's bring in Nina. Hi, Nina. It's really great to catch up with you for a minute and have you on the Outlook On Air podcast today.
Well, thanks for having me, Dennis.
Well, for those who may not be familiar with Outlook Enrichment, I'm always talking about it. When I start my podcast, I always say, welcome to the, Outlook podcast from Outlook Enrichment and all that kind of thing. Being the executive director of Outlook Enrichment, would you be kind enough to share what Outlook Enrichment is and who you serve?
Outlook Enrichment is a nonprofit in the Omaha area that serves those with a vision impairment. We serve anyone of all ages. So right now our youngest is 3, our oldest is 93. And we meet our clients where they are in their journey to either do adaptive technology training, independent living, Braille, home management. We do health and wellness that includes workout classes, support group, and then we have amazing recreation activities for adults, youth, family.
You really cover the gamut.
We do. We got a lot going on here.
I guess so, including the Tee It Up for Sight golf tournament, which is coming up in June the 3rd, I believe. In fact, I'll just ask you, when and where is it happening this year?
So yeah, this is our 22nd annual Tee It Up for Sight golf tournament, which will be held June 3rd, first Wednesday of June, out at Tiburon Golf Club.
Yeah, that's a pretty happening place. I know they have a lot of tournaments and things there. So what makes this tournament different from a typical golf outing?
We bring our mission into the golf tournament. So we will have 4 individuals who have been part of our Blind Golfers Clinic that started in January and runs through the end of May, golfing with their sighted guides. But then during our course challenges, you get to see more of our mission. So we have our blind putt hole where everyone puts on a sleep shade and tries to get a putt in one try. We have immersion goggles that simulate different eye conditions that people put on to play our cornhole course. And then we have a dice game where if you roll evens, you get to tee off as normal. But if you roll odds, you got to put on those immersion goggles and tee off. And it's always fun to watch people tee off when we do our golf tournament and other golf tournaments with those immersion goggles. Some of them actually do better with those goggles on because they're thinking so much about the goggles and not their swing. And they seem to do a little bit better. It's fun to watch.
I'll bet it is. So why is this golf tournament so important to Outlook Enrichment?
This golf tournament is so important because it helps fund our programs. But this year specifically, this tournament is going to help fund our Outlook Explorers Youth Camp. So previous to 2020, Outlook worked with Boys Town and held Camp Abilities. And we are bringing that camp back. We are calling it Outlook Explorers Camp, where we can have up to 24 campers. They're going to be housed at UNO with their camp counselors, and they get to do all kinds of fun stuff.
And what ages are we talking about as far as campers go?
9 to 19.
Yeah, it covers quite the gamut, too.
It does, and they're really, I've even had some of the kids call me to say, before I have my parents sign me up, what are we actually going to be doing that week? And when I tell them, they're pretty excited. So this is my first time getting to participate in camp with the campers. So I'm excited to
be a part of it and all that sort of
be
thing.
a part of it and just see how it's going to change these kids. Because I've heard the stories of how it changes kids' lives. Because could be their first time staying away from mom and dad. Because it is an overnight camp. They get dropped off on Sunday afternoon and mom and dad come back on Friday afternoon to pick them up.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a real fun time for the kids, that's for sure. So what inspired you and your team to create this event in the first place?
Well, this event started 22 years ago with Eric Stucraft and his wife Shiloh, just simply to raise funds. Outlook was on a very small budget, and it was all hinging on limited income coming through the Javis-Wagner-O'Day Act. And they were just thinking, how could we do more, meet more people, and build more awareness for Outlook? So they had their first golf tournament at the Knowles Golf Course, which had about 60 people at it. And now we try to fill the course with 52 teams.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's a lot of teams. And now, do you have to be on a team to even be a part of this, or can you be an individual as well?
Most do come in as groups, but yeah, every once in a while we'll get some people who can't fill a team, and we'll just, with those individuals that register, we can put you on a team.
Okay, all right, sounds good. What does community support through events like this mean to your clients?
It means a lot to me because it brings awareness of who Outlook is and what we do and the individuals we serve. And it helps provide programs by raising money. So for every $50 we raise, we're able to provide 1 hour of service, whether that is through adaptive technology training, independent living, again, our health and wellness, all of the different things that we support. And for some of our clients, this gives them a chance to even participate. Some of them have never golfed before. So we do our Blind Golfers Clinic in memory of Stanley M. Trulson Jr. Stanley used to participate in our Blind Golfers Clinic, and we've just kept it going through his memory. And this gives individuals a chance to come in and learn how to putt, chip, and drive, and then throughout January, February, and March, and April. And then in May, we actually take them out to a golf course. And they get the chance to go out and golf with their sighted guide. And then we pick 4 of those individuals to be in the tournament. And we get to do all of this because of our donors and people who come out and be part of the golf tournament.
That sounds absolutely awesome. Do you have a story or example of how programs like this will change lives?
You know, for some of our clients, they come to us and they feel alone in their journey, and they feel like nobody wants to help me, and that's why we're here. And we've had some of our individuals, so I think about one of our associates here at Outlook who, without Outlook, he was going down a bad road because he was sitting on his couch. He was angry from losing his vision and just didn't want to do anything and was heading down a bad path. And people kept pushing him, call Outlook, call Outlook. And he did. And now he's worked for us for almost 18 years. And some of our clients will even say to us that Outlook Enrichment offers life-saving services because we give them that community to be around other people that are going through what they're going through.
Sure.
And just that sense of community just means so much to them. But we couldn't do it without fundraisers like the golf tournament.
And I think for a lot of people who are visually impaired, just the thought of golfing and things of that sort, you giving them that opportunity, that's got to be incredible for some folks.
It is. I remember a couple years ago, we had a mom give me a call, and she had Googled us because her daughter was losing her vision, and it wasn't something they expected. They didn't know why it was happening, but her daughter was a golfer, and she Googled how to help those with a vision impairment golf, and we popped up. And she's not from the Omaha area, and she called and she brought her daughter up, and it gave her daughter that sense of, okay, I can do this. And her daughter is still golfing and is on the golf team. And that means a lot to us to be able to help people get that chance to know that just because this is going on in your life doesn't mean you can't go out and do the fun things that everybody else is doing.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, I marvel at that myself, even when I watch that transformation happen with a lot of folks we work with here. I know that you often will say that $50 will provide 1 hour of service. So I've heard you say that before. So I'm wondering, how does that translate in this case?
So for every $50, that helps us put on our Blind Golfers Clinic. So we do that. Megan, our community events coordinator, puts it on Fridays for a couple hours and Saturdays for a couple hours. And without that support, we wouldn't be able to purchase the equipment that we need or have Megan be there for it without that money coming in. And then also because of our volunteers. Megan has volunteers that give up their Fridays and their Saturdays for a couple hours to come in and help teach golf to our individuals. So sometimes it's more than just that money coming in. without our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to offer some of our services as well.
Yeah, that's pretty important. What can golfers expect from the day of the tournament or on the day of the tournament?
Well, on the day of the tournament, I always say expect a lot of fun. This year, we have Fenway, who is our new Outlook dog that will be there to greet everyone as they're coming in, and he'll be around the course to take pictures with everyone. We decided to get a mascot, and we named him Fenway. He's not a guide dog, so everyone will be able to get their picture with him if they want. And he's not a real dog. I know some people may thinking like, "Hey, they got a real dog," but he's not. But that's okay. We'll still have a lot of fun. But they'll come in. We're going to have raffle prizes for them where they can buy tickets for some awesome raffle prizes. The 3-course challenges throughout. Grab and go lunch, buffet dinner. We'll do some pin prizes. And just have a fun time. I know every year as I'm driving around the golf course, I just love hearing the laughs, and especially when you're up at the blind putt and people are trying to get that on one try, you can hear the laughter throughout the course, and it just makes me so happy. And the other thing is, throughout the course, we will have Outlook associates on the holes of the course challenges, and they'll be there to tell you their story.
Oh, how neat. Yeah. Wow, that sounds like some very unique experiences and activities that are going on just on this one day.
It's a pretty fun-filled day. Registration opens at 9. Shotguns start at 11. And usually golfers are pulling in around 3:30, 4 o'clock to the clubhouse to grab dinner and see if they won any raffle prizes or pin prizes.
Wow, yeah, everybody's just buzzing about it here. I know it's going to be fantastic. I've also heard that there are opportunities for participants to engage in the mission itself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our biggest course challenge that most people know about is our blind putt hole. So that is always on the putting green out there at Tiburon. There'll be a big sign, but as you come around on the turns, there'll be people there to hand you a sleep shade. And if you sink a putt in your first try, you get to take a hole-in-one anywhere on the course, which is always fun for people. We'll have, because we want to make sure that everybody hits a course challenge. So there'll be 2 areas for, so everybody will hit cornhole. So you'll put on our immersion glasses, which you'll either have diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, cataracts, or glaucoma. And you got to try to land the beanbag either on the board or in the hole. And depending on if you put it in the hole or on the board, where you get to tee off at. Then we have a dice game, 2 dice games where, again, if you roll even numbers, I think you just get to move up and to the women's tee and tee off. Or if you roll odds, then you got to put on those immersion goggles and try to tee off. But if individuals don't want to do that or aren't able to do that, then, we're always up for taking that $10 fine at the holes. It's usually, and it's always a lot of fun. As I said, our Outlook associates are on the holes. You'll run into Enrichment associates, Outlook Nebraska associates. Sometimes a client will be out there, and some board members out there volunteering and telling their story of what Outlook's done for them or why they volunteer at Outlook.
Sure. Well, it sounds like you're just planning just a day that's just going to be filled with fun, but how do you incorporate awareness and education about vision loss into this whole thing?
Again, just through our course challenges and having our 4 visually impaired golfers out on the course. And then we will ask them to stand up at the end of the day. So if anybody would like to meet or talk with them, they can. Mm-hmm. And then we just want people to tell their stories, because we are taking the money and putting it towards our youth camp. We are hoping to get some youth out there in the morning to help sell you raffle tickets so you can meet the individuals that you're helping support go to camp.
Wow. Awesome. How about for businesses or individuals who are listening to this podcast and they're wondering how they can get involved as sponsors?
Well, they can give me a call and I can come to them, or we can do it over the phone. We do have some fun sponsorships still open. Any sponsorship, $1,500 and above, does get you a team into the tournament. And then you get to sit on a hole. If you've got enough people where you can put a team in and then have somebody sit on a hole and rep your business, we'd love to have you do that. And for anybody that sponsors, you get shout outs on social media, shout outs the day of the event. And then after the event, you'll get a little bit of shout outs as well. And then, of course, personal thank you from me.
Well, that means everything right there.
I think it does. No,
there you go. Well, it sounds like they do receive a lot of value for sponsorship as well. So that is pretty awesome. Why is it important for companies to align themselves with events that are like this?
So a lot of people, as I said earlier, you just don't know when you could lose your vision. There's so many different factors that could cause someone to lose their vision. So with companies aligning with events like us, not only does it bring awareness of who we are to those organizations, but it brings awareness of who you are to other organizations that are out on the course. But then you know where to go. If someone were to go to your HR department and say, hey, I am losing my vision, I don't know where to go, then you can come and send them to us because you've been part of this, you know where to go. And we're also, with our work readiness program, we're always looking for organizations that would be interested in hiring someone with a vision impairment to work for them.
Yeah, good point. Good point. That's awesome. Now, are there different levels of sponsorship available, or does everybody just have to pay one price?
Nope, there's different levels starting at $1,500 all the way up to $3,000. We are sold out of our largest sponsorship, which is our presenting sponsorship this year, but we have plenty of others left and would love to have anybody that's interested. Give me a call. Our sponsorships, we do have whole sponsorships that start at $100 up to $500. If you're not a golfer but you want to sponsor us, we also offer sponsorships for those who are visually impaired golfing. So you can sponsor a team. So I told you up to $3,000. We actually have all the way up to $3,500.
$3,500.
So we have dinner sponsorships, swag sponsor, registration, lunch, drink ticket sponsor. You'll be the favorite person on the course if you're a drink ticket sponsor.
I'll bet.
Then we have our general sponsorships, and then again our blind golfer and guide sponsor and hole sponsors.
Wow. So what would you say to someone who's listening to all of this and considering being a sponsor, but they just haven't taken that step yet?
Give me a call. Give me 30 minutes of your time just to sit down with you and tell you in person what your impact means. Coming into our office, you can see, the minute you walk into our office, you can see your impact at work when you meet our receptionist who's low vision. But just walking through our building, you get to see our impact at work every day, all day. And even being at the tournament, you're seeing, because coming and meeting the individuals that are on the holes that work for Outlook Enrichment, some work for Outlook Nebraska, and the chance to meet any of our clients that come out and meet our golfers. Our golfers are going to range. We've got youth all the way up to adults this year golfing.
Let's talk about golfers, the people who are actually going to be doing the golfing. How can someone sign up to golf in the tournament?
So they can go to our website, outlooken.org, and go to our fundraising page. And it is out there to register either an individual or a team. And then if you want to be a sponsor, you can just reach out to me and I will help get you registered through that process.
So they don't have to be a full team.
They do not have to be a full team to register, no.
No. Okay.
We'll make teams throughout all the individuals. And if you register as an individual, you're going to get to meet some new people and maybe make a new friend.
And they don't need to be experienced golfers either?
No, this is all for fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast, actually. So how much is the registration? What's included in the whole registration process?
So it's $250 for an individual and $1,000 for a team. Included in your registration is grab-and-go lunch, buffet dinner, 18 holes of golf, 3 course challenges, a mulligan, 2 mulligans per golfer, and a swag bag.
Is there any kind of a deadline? When do we have to, that we need to be aware of here?
We like to cut off getting everybody registered a week before the tournament just so we can get everything into the golf course. But we have had people sign up last minute, and that's okay too. But if we could have all registrations in by May 26th, that would be great.
May 26th. I'm going to note it on my forehead and run around with it so people see it. Now, what about someone who can't attend? They can't attend, but are there ways that they can still support without being there?
Yeah, if they wanted to be a whole sponsor or sponsor a blind golfer or just do a flat donation, they can go out to our page and website and do a donation and just put unable to attend the golf tournament, would like to give a donation, and all those funds will still help our Outlook Explorers camp.
So great advice for anybody who, maybe wants to make an impact but isn't really sure where to start. Right there, they can start right there.
It just, $10 a month. If somebody is interested, you can't come to our events or you just don't think you're a golfer, but you want to help support us. Every little bit helps. So if anybody even wants to sign up to be a monthly donor at $10 on up, we would love to have you, and that can all be done through our website.
Aha. I was just going to ask you where listeners could go to, get registered or hear more about all this. And I guess you just answered that. Our website, which is www.outlooken.org. You hear us mention it all the time. We mention it in our podcast often because it's where the action is. Final question for you, Nina. I know you're very busy and you have a million things to do besides sitting around talking to me, but I'm so glad you took time to do so. But what excites you most about this year's tournament?
I think where the money is going to go to help our youth camp. I love being part of this tournament. I love driving around on the course and being able to talk to all of our donors and sponsors. And a lot of times we always have a new team in there, so I get to meet new people, and that's always fun for me. Just seeing the excitement, too, when I go to the course challenges and our associates that are volunteering, how much fun they're having. It's just a great day all around. But again, I am very excited that the money is going to help camp. We have been wanting to bring camp back for several years, and to finally pull the trigger and be able to do it this year just warms my heart, and can't wait to see all the kids in July when they come for camp. And I know they will appreciate everyone helping support them by coming to this tournament.
Well, we're sharing that excitement. We're equally as excited, glad that it's coming up. We even got a special jingle package for it and everything else this year. We really went, full tilt. And so we're sharing that excitement that you have and looking forward to seeing you there as well.
Well, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate you having me on. I know you've been asking me to do this for a while. So I'm glad I bit the bullet and did it for you.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you very much. Thanks so much, Nina, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the course.
Have a great day, everybody.
Well, folks, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this edition of Outlook on Air, but we certainly hope you've enjoyed the program. We hope to see you back here again for another edition of Outlook on Air. And if you'd like more information about Outlook Enrichment or anything Outlook for that matter, make sure you visit our website at www.outlooken.org. That's www.outlooken.org. Or you can always call us for more information or to schedule any kind of an appointment at area code 531-365-5051. That's area code 531-365-5051. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly newsletter so that you can find out when the next podcast is available. And we hope to see you then on the next edition of Outlook on Air.